Hello viewers, welcome to the third and final community battle between myself and aTTaX Johnson. I was meant to bring this out a while ago, but then I went on holiday, ran out of time, so let's get the action underway. My action here doesn't actually have sound for some weird reason, so I'm going to steal the sound from other clips. So it might sound weird when we skip to myself. We're going on board with a couple of drivers here. TUS ForceOne, a member of my team. Not the best qualifying from him, but he's going to make up a couple of positions at the start. Type R here on my team as well. He's going to drop down a couple of positions. And then there's me, Super GT, the absolute ramming noob. He's going to fire off GTZ Lucifer. It was very close, and I just misjudged it through turn 3. He made contact. And then moving ahead, Racer here on my team, up against aTTaX Johnson there on the inside, on the exit of turn 5. Just going to give him enough room, just about. He's going to still have the inside line for the left-hander here. Racer's still fighting. He's actually giving it a very good go at the moment, but he's just going to dip into the gravel there. He's going to slow him down. This is the view from Type R, just behind this battle. And then Marple there in 4th is now going to go into 3rd past Racer. So ForceOne just behind Type R, as we go into the hairpin for the first time of 10 through the apex. Johnson through safely, and then Type R is just going to get a bit of contact from behind from ForceOne. He's going to go into the barrier, and then I am going to go into Type R there. So unfortunately my team kind of imploded on itself there, losing quite a number of positions. So Type R is going to have his work cut out from here on in to try and get himself back in the race. So we have GTZ Liquid out in the lead, and then he has been followed here by aTTaX Johnson. Marple in 3rd, so top 3 there covered by Johnson's team, and then Racer in 4th, TUS ForceOne now in 5th. So we go back with Johnson. Let's follow him for a bit here as we go through the second turn. Lap times around here in these cars, remember they're stock. We are aiming for 147 is a very good lap. If you can dip into the 146s, that is extremely fast. I was normally lapping around 148 though, dipping into the 147s on a couple of occasions, I believe. So through turn number 4, aTTaX Johnson very, very consistent. He's going to give Lucifer, Liquid here, a very good battle for first place. Then moving back to myself, I've gone down into 8th position. We have Maldonado Jr. and Juular DT there, just up ahead. And then here is Lucifer just behind, trying to reel his way back into the action. He is in 9th position. And then coming through here is Type R a little bit further back. Now he is just going to try to reel in that group just ahead of him there. So Johnson through the apex of the hairpin. Now this is a very good overtaking opportunity round the chicane. You can sort of dip up the inside into the left-hander part, and then if not, you can get yourself a good exit and then get a run down the main straight into turn 1. So this section here is very crucial. This chicane really important to a good lap, and he's just actually got a little bit sideways there as we go through the final turn, just having to back off a little bit there, and you can see that the gap is going to open between himself and Liquid as we cross the line for lap number 3. So Johnson there just going to have to be a bit more patient, and it's quite a long race, so nearly 2-minute laps and 10 minutes, so just under 20 minutes you'd imagine this race is going to take. Back with myself, we can see the battle just ahead there. So that is Maldonado Jr. and then DT was just ahead of him there. So we're going to skip ahead a lap or so just to the end of lap 3 as we cross to start number 4. Now, I know Type R is faster than me around this track. That was proven in practice. I'm just going to let him go past and then see if he can make some impressions on that battle ahead. Hopefully he can get through this pack. DT going very drifty there. Maldonado Jr. is going to get ahead into what I think is 6th place there. And then DT a little bit sideways on the exit of 3. We're going to go from my perspective just behind. So DT on the inside there in 7th. and then he's just going to edge out Type R. Type R's going to go back for a cutback though, but this is going to give him the outside line for the left-hander of turn number 5. DT locking up, and then as we go through, he's just going to cover him off there. So DT is actually, this is actually a true fact. He doesn't use the triggers, so he uses buttons for throttle and brake, which is really quite remarkable. It's quite amazing how quick he is, given that he does that. It's really hard for me, for most people, to be quick without using the triggers. So he's doing very, very well here to keep up with most of these guys in this kind of car. So into the hairpin, Type R is still looking for a way by into this group, just making contact with DT through the apex there. That gives Maldonado Jr. just ahead of this battle a little bit of breathing space, so he can focus on his apexes rather than looking in his rearview mirror. And then coming down into the chicane, Type R doesn't want to go for a move here, maybe a little bit tentative. On the exit, DT was slow, and this is going to slow up Type R, and then I'm going to go around the outside for a very sweet move. So it's going to be my turn this time. I did let him go for a lap to see if he could do anything, but now it's going to be up to me to try to make some impressions and get past DT, and then eventually maybe Maldonado Jr. So into the first turn, we're all through safely. DT going a little bit wide, which is going to put him off for the second turn and then the third. So a collection of turns here, all depending on the one before. So through the turn, DT going very wide onto the AstroTurf. He's going to give him a poor exit, and I'm going to go for the inside line into 4, go for an early apex, and then just edge him out wide, and he's going to have to go the long way around. Type R is going to follow me through, and then he is through DT, losing 2 positions in 1 corner. So into turn 5, Type R getting hooked up with a late apex there, probably the best apex around that turn. Gives you a good drive down the hill into the left hander up the hill. Now the exit here is quite tricky, as we saw a racer early in the race, and I'm just going to graze into the gravel. Type R is going to make the most of that, having to back out ever so slightly and then going to the left hand side to get the pass done. Back up with the battle at the front is still the same order, so we have Liquid in the lead, still holding off Johnson. I think Johnson is slightly quicker in this car around this track, but he just cannot get close enough where it matters, and that is into the first corner or into the chicane. He just can't quite get close enough. So I'm going to go with Lucifer here, who was knocked off by myself, the Dirty Racer Super GT, on the first lap. So he's actually catching up with this group here. So this is me here in 8th. So Lucifer's actually gaining on this group, and he's going to have some work to do. Skipping to the end of lap 6, we are nearly 11 minutes into the race, and then Type R has caught up with Maldonado Jr. and they're just going to make contact as we enter the final turn. So I'm going to gain 2 positions here, moving up into 6th position, my favourite position. Lucifer is going to make the most of that too, gaining 1 position. He's got DT right on his tail there, so Type R is going to go slowly to try and let Maldonado Jr. back through, and that's going to develop into a good battle as well. So Lucifer making the most of that, gaining 2 positions, as I did as well. So this is going to be my main threat, I think, from the rest of the race. So at this current stage here, we have the top 3 of Liquid, Johnson, and then Marple in 3rd. Then a bit of a gap back to Racer and TUS ForceOne in 4th and 5th. Then myself in 6th, being tailed by Lucifer. And then you have Juular DT just behind him. And then this is the battle at the back. So Type R having a bit of a disaster. He was very quick in practice, but just a couple of incidents has moved him to the back of the pack. But at least he's got someone with him here, so he isn't all alone lapping. It's very boring lapping on your own in a race, isn't it? We all know that. So luckily he's got someone with him, can actually try to get past Maldonado Jr. So back on board with myself, lap number 7, as we go into the hairpin there. So when my screen does come up, you can actually see on the mini-map kind of how spread out the race is. So at this current moment, I think Johnson just probably going around the last corner. So a good 10-15 seconds ahead of this battle, or you can call it a battle, I guess. Lucifer is actually slowly reeling me in. I think he was, on the whole, more consistent / quicker. So into the chicane section here. This is really crucial, and you can lose a lot of time around this section if you don't get it right. So here we are with Johnson. Let's ride on board with Johnson for a bit here, and let's see how he can challenge for the lead of the race. He was very successful in the last two races, the last two battles, pretty much dominating the first one and then finishing second at Brands Hatch. So let's see if he can repeat his first win and get another win here. So into turn number 4, Liquid a little bit wide on entry, and he gets a bit of oversteer halfway around the turn, and this is going to move him to the inside, but then Johnson's going to have to look around the outside. So Liquid covering off there. He knows he was slow off the turn, so just covering off the turn, but then aTTaX Johnson here is going to be very close to going to turn 6, the left-hander up the hill, but that's not very good overtaking opportunity unless you're fully alongside. You can't really lunge for a move there, unless, well, you know, you're on an online lobby on Forza 6, in which case you can sort of just lunge from anywhere if you like. And then Type R here, we're going to skip ahead to a bit further into the race. Johnson wasn't really able to get past. He wasn't quite close enough in the crucial places. Maldonado Jr. just going to go for a massive slide there, turn it into a drift session. But unfortunately, that doesn't really work in a circuit race. So Type R not last at this current moment. He does have someone just ahead of him there. I think it was Juular DT. So he has some aim here. He's still trying to catch up with someone. And then Lucifer just behind me. You can see myself just up ahead there. So Lucifer's got someone on his screen so he can chase, and I've got someone. Oh, actually, he's just going to lose a bit of time there. So that's going to give me a bit of a breather because I knew that he was catching. And back on board with Johnson as we come into the chicane section. We're on about lap number 8 or so now, so not many laps left in the race, but it's getting very close. This is going to give Johnson a chance down the main straight. He goes in a little bit late actually into the last turn. You can see there the Liquid actually gained maybe 70 feet or so, I reckon, just from turning in that little bit earlier. You can see that actually develops that small gap, but it's more than enough. And in cars that are equal, we're all driving exactly the same car, it's going to be very hard to get a pass done into the first turn. Often you're relying on more engine power or something to get past your opponents, but in this case it's very hard when you have exactly the same car. Going to turn 4, Liquid looks very comfortable there. I think the Marple just behind Johnson wasn't quite on the pace. He was still matching them almost, but wasn't really making any impressions on Johnson. So Type R actually catching up slightly here with DT. DT doing very well given his situation there with the buttons. And then I'm going to go very wide there. This is lap 10 now, so we have skipped to the last race. You see on the map there just how spread out the race is, and I've got a massive gap between myself and TUS ForceOne in 5th. So I'm just going to try to hold off Lucifer here, making a late charge for 6th position. But then through turn number 6, on the exit here, he's just going to get a bit of oversteer, kicks his rear end out, and then just going to make a massive error, just go into the tyre wall. So he's going to lose a couple of positions here. So here's Type R going past, gaining a position. So Lucifer having a very bad race. Well, I mean, it's my fault really because I smashed him off at the start, but unfortunately for him, just having an accident on the very last lap, just maybe pushing too hard. So Johnson coming around the last turn. Liquid's going to win the race, so very well done to him. And aTTaX Johnson has Marple just behind, just going to dab the brakes as it goes over the line. That is some cheeky banter from Johnson there. We're loving that. So Johnson finishing 2nd behind Liquid, Marple in 3rd, and then it was Racer in 4th for my team, and TUS ForceOne in 5th. Myself, there we go, in 6th position, my standard position, and then Type R just following Juular DT home in 8th. I think Lucifer is going to finish 9th, and then Maldonado Jr. in 10th, but we will confirm that in just a moment on the results screen. But that is going to bring an end to the coverage here of this event. So actually Lucifer was in 10th position in the end. But yeah, that is going to bring the end to the coverage of the community battle. I think it was on the whole quite successful, actually very successful. Quite a lot of people watched it. So if you want to watch any more of aTTaX Johnson's stream, I will put his Twitch channel in the description. He streams a lot more than I do, and he's very good at the game. So he's worth checking out. So get yourself over to that Twitch, maybe watch one of his streams and see how it goes. But that is the end of the coverage, guys. I hope you have enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts as always, and I hope to see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.